As Americans, seeing our federal leaders answer tough questions under oath is essential for the country. Senator Durbin confronted Director Kash Patel over classified files and agency procedures. The questioning became focused very quickly. Watch what happens.
Of the Epstein records for any reference to President Trump?
Again, you are citing reporting that I think is baseless. We conducted an investigation of the Epstein case files pursuant to the direction of the President of the administration to provide all credible information, and we are working with Congress pursuant to a congressional subpoena to turn over all the documents we can. All individuals.
Who at DOJ and FBI was responsible for its drafting and conclusions?
Many individuals at the Department of Justice and the FBI are responsible.
There was no lead person?
The Attorney General leads the Department of Justice, and I lead the FBI.
So the Attorney General was responsible for that?
Historic results at historic speeds for the American people.
So you have no evidence?
I got a lot of evidence, and I'll give it to you when I can.
Stick around to catch every detail. Paying attention to these official proceedings matters for every citizen. Here is how it unfolded.
My understanding is that approximately 40 officials have been asked to sit for a polygraph during your administration, and several have been asked whether they have ever made negative comments about you. Director Patel, FBI agents pledge their loyalty to the Constitution of the United States, not you personally. What is the basis for requiring polygraph exams of your workforce and asking them if they've made negative comments about you?
I don't know what reports you're referring to, Ranking Member, and I reject any reporting that has false information in it, so I'm not going to respond to that. As far as polygraphs go, generally they are always and always have been utilized at the FBI to track down those that leak sensitive information and have unauthorized disclosures to the media, and we will continue to use them to ensure the integrity of the FBI.
Did any individual on your senior executive team, the director's advisory team, or who serve in the positions on the 7th floor receive disqualifying alerts on their polygraphs?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the personnel discussions that were had on a polygraph. Those are private discussions, and many of them relate to ongoing investigations.
Did you or Attorney General Bondi provide any individual with a waiver so they could remain employed after they received disqualifying alerts on their polygraphs?
I'll have to get back to you.
You don't remember that?
No, sir. My priority is protecting the American public, not getting into the weeds of polygraphs.
And to have a decent memory when you come before a committee.
I'm happy to talk about all the good work the men and women of the FBI are doing, including provided the lowest crime rate in American history. If you want to talk about how to protect the citizens, Chicago has seen a 30% reduction in its murder rate because of the men and women of the FBI.
You take credit for that?
I'll happily do that.
The
interagency partners and the men and women of the Chicago PD have never been more powerful.
Include local law enforcement, please.
Have you ever seen my testimony across this country where I always lead with our interagency partnerships with state and local law enforcement? It is the pillar of what I am doing. And on the 7th floor, for the first time in FBI history, I have installed police officers and sheriffs right on my 7th floor to report to us every day what's going around the country on the street level, because that is a priority of the FBI and is the only way we are going to work. I don't take credit for anything, but I will defend the men and women of the FBI and the cops that help us get it done.
You should.
You just watched Director Patel respond to polygraph questions with a statistical detour. Ask yourself, does an official response like that satisfy what taxpayers deserve to hear? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Senator Durbin refuses to relent. Watch how the director reacts when pressed on a missing signature.
Director Patel, to your knowledge, did a whistleblower ever make a disclosure to Attorney General Bondi indicating that the New York field office was withholding Epstein-related records?
I'm not familiar with that whistleblower.
You know that there was such a whistleblower?
I'm not familiar with that whistleblower.
In response to the blowback she received, Attorney General Bondi also pushed the FBI to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records on an arbitrarily short deadline in March, and the FBI was directed to flag any documents that mentioned President Trump. Nothing came of that review until July, when DOJ and FBI released an unsigned memorandum stating there is no incriminating client list. Why was this July 7th memorandum unsigned?
Would you prefer I've used AutoPen?
Well, why was it unsigned?
The memorandum had the insignia of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And in our effort to secure transparency for the American people, because the 3 prior administrations had not done so, we conducted an exhaustive search of everything related to the Epstein cases, and we produced what was legally and permissibly able to be produced to Congress and the American public.
So
and there's a congressional subpoena, and we're continuing to do so.
Did you personally direct that investigation so that you would sign such a
Did I personally direct what investigation?
of the Epstein records for any reference to President Trump?
Again, you are citing reporting that I think is baseless. We conducted an investigation of the Epstein case files pursuant to the direction of the President of the administration to provide all credible information, and we are working with Congress pursuant to a congressional subpoena to turn over all the documents we can. All individuals.
Who at DOJ and FBI was responsible for its drafting and conclusions?
Many individuals at the Department of Justice and the FBI are
There was
responsible.
no lead person?
The Attorney General leads the Department of Justice, and I lead the FBI.
So the Attorney General was responsible for that?
The Attorney General.
Would you prefer I use an auto pen? That joke deflected a serious question about accountability. You just watched Director Patel brush off why the formal memorandum on 100,000 Epstein records carried no signature. When a government conclusion has agency logos but no individual human name attached to it, no single person answers if those findings turn out to be wrong. Ask yourself, should major federal reports ever be issued anonymously to the public? Let me know your perspective in the comments below. Senator Durbin now turns to the January 6th pipe bomb. Claims watch carefully how Patel reacts next.
The Attorney General leads the Department of Justice.
Director Patel, much like you, Deputy Director Dan Bongino was a conspiracy theorist who built a lucrative career making inflammatory and unsubstantiated statements about the FBI that would be disqualifying in any administration that cared about nonpartisan law enforcement. For instance, Mr. Bongino called the placement of pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC headquarters on January 6, quote, an inside job, and went on to say this was a setup. I have zero doubt, and whoever goes into the FBI, you better get an answer about why. Director Patel, you and Deputy Director Bongino are now leading the FBI. What is the evidence to suggest the pipe bombs placed outside of the DNC and RNC on January 6 were an inside job?
I appreciate the opportunity to discuss Director Bongino's mind record. So many on this committee and the media jettison our 31 years of public service.
Can you answer the question, sir?
I'm answering the question. You're questioning the integrity of the Deputy Director of the FBI and mine.
If you found any
and I'm going to
evidence.
answer the question. The pipe bomb investigation is ongoing, and I'm not going to discuss the details of the pipe bomb investigation. Mr. Bongino was a Secret Service agent for 15 years, a police officer for 5. I served this country in multiple administrations for 16 years. We were also private citizens, and we are now back in government service. And what we have the ability to do is set aside our personal beliefs to deliver the mission of justice for this country, and we're doing it day in and day out. And I find it disgusting that everyone and anyone would jettison our 31 years of combined experience that is now at the helm of the FBI, delivering historic results at historic speeds for the American people.
So you have no evidence?
I got a lot of evidence, and I'll give it to you when I can.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I've got a lot of evidence, and I'll give it to you when I can. That answer came during a direct question about a 4-year-old unsolved case. You just watched Director Patel respond to claims about the January 6th pipe bomb investigation without presenting immediate proof. When the chief of the FBI promises future evidence on a major national security matter, it raises real questions about how public claims align with official records. Ask yourself, should public statements from federal leaders always be backed by immediate facts? Share your thoughts below. Senator Durbin now turns to the sudden firing of decorated military veterans. Watch how Patel reacts.
Looking forward to it. There's a New York Times story this morning about Chris Meyer. As I understand it, he was your personal pilot, at least for some period of time. Mr. Meyer has quite a record himself. Flew over 350 hours as an Air Force pilot on 3 aircraft types in Afghanistan. Mr. Jardina, another former FBI agent, a 1999 graduate of U.S. Naval Academy, commanded 100 Marines in combat during the 2003 invasion of Iraq, participated in several firefights, followed up with 2011 deployment as reservist to Afghanistan, where he interrogated senior Taliban officials. It appears that you terminated these 2 agents. Why?
I'm not going to get into personnel decisions that we made.
So you're not accountable for your decisions to take people who served our country so admirably and terminate them without any cause?
That's a one-sided story. Anyone that has
Well,
been
then
terminated from
so
the
tell
FBI,
your-
generally
tell your
speaking,
side of the story.
fail to meet the needs of the FBI and uphold their constitutional duties. And you providing a one-sided story from your perch is absolutely disgraceful, because the men and women of the FBI deserve better. And your attack on the current leadership of the men and women of the FBI is equally disgraceful, because now you're attacking the leaders that are our brave SACs in the
Let me tell you
field
what's
who are
disgraceful.
doing the job that this
Disgraceful.
country needs.
It's
And we will
disgraceful.
continue to do it.
Excuse me, it's disgraceful when Mr. Meyer and Mr. Giardina, who served our country so well, are terminated apparently because of the rants of a broadcaster.
That is
all
your
it-
opinion. It is not a fact.
Well, it's certainly my opinion. I can back up with fact. Let me ask you to explain the situation in Baltimore, if you will. Did you read the story about the termination of the project in Baltimore?
Which story?
764 Group?
Sorry. Which story?
764 Group, the Baltimore agents were investigating. Are you familiar with that?
No, sir.
Well, I'm not going to go into detail. It would take too long to do it. But apparently that this group, 764, a nihilistic, violent extremist group, seeks to blackmail children to perform vile acts on a camera under investigation by Baltimore, which was terminated by you. I'd like you to respond in writing, if you will, as to the circumstances of that termination.
Sure. Our operations against NVEs, as you're referring to, has been historically high, and we've taken down multiple NVE rings, including 764 rings, who are harming children and causing them to be mutilated and
Last
commit
question.
suicide.
Can you explain why you are eliminating the requirements for a college degree for your agents?
I appreciate the opportunity to address that. You said in your opening statement, we are reducing the training requirements at Quantico. We are not. We are expanding them. You are referring to an 1811 crossover program, because I believe the men and women of places like the DEA, the ATF, and the Marshal Service and the Secret Service who want to work at the FBI should deserve that opportunity in a shortened bridge program, which we provided. We are also keeping the 18-week BFTC as is traditionally being held at the FBI. So we're not reducing any requirements. We are increasing those that we bring into the
Did you
FBI.
change any of the requirements on college degrees?
We are allowing police officers who have served for a number of years to come into the FBI who did not obtain the requisite college degree to apply to be federal agents, because we feel they have the street level experience we need.
Look at how this high-level confrontation unfolded. Senator Durbin brought hard facts about 2 decorated veterans, one with 350 combat hours in Afghanistan, the other a Marine commander who interrogated Taliban officials. But instead of providing a direct answer, Patel deflected by calling the senator's query a one-sided story. When agency leaders dodge accountability under oath, it goes far beyond typical politics. Patel called Durbin's account one-sided. He may be right that there are details not in the public record, but that is precisely the point. When an agency director fires decorated veterans and offers no explanation to Congress, the lack of answers raises serious concerns. There is something else in this hearing that went largely unnoticed. When Durbin raised the 764 investigation in Baltimore, a sensitive case targeting online criminal networks, Patel said he was not familiar with it. That is a significant admission. The 764 network is not an obscure case file. It has been tracked across multiple federal agencies and internationally flagged as a serious and growing threat to minors. For a sitting FBI director to say he does not know about a specific Baltimore investigation targeting that network, and for that investigation to have been terminated, raises a question that does not resolve easily. And then there is the college degree change. Patel framed it as expansion, not reduction, which is technically defensible if you accept his framing of a bridge program. But the practical effect is clear. Experienced officers without degrees can now enter the FBI through a compressed pathway. Whether that strengthens or weakens the institution depends entirely on how rigorously that pathway is applied and who controls the standards. Step back and look at the bigger picture of this hearing. Polygraph waivers that the director cannot recall authorizing. 100,000 Epstein files reviewed with a specific instruction to flag the president's name. A formal government conclusion with no signature. A pipe bomb conspiracy claim from the deputy director met with a promise of future evidence. 2 decorated veterans fired without explanation. A major federal investigation terminated and a hiring standard quietly adjusted. None of these are small things on their own. Together, they form a pattern that every American who expects the FBI to remain independent, accountable, and bound by the law has every reason to keep watching closely. This story is far from over. When top officials face Congress, the real test isn't just what happens in the room, it's whether the American public gets real answers. Where do you stand on this? Do federal agency directors owe taxpayers immediate proof under oath, or should they have the final say on what stays private? Sound off in the comments below. If you want to keep tracking real congressional oversight without the media spin, hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.